Okay, so actually I intend for this to be quite interactive, right? Because I do want to discuss the sources with you, and I want to find out what you guys think about the sources too. Okay, so let's first begin by looking at the EY 2020. Yeah, okay, iCloud Drive. Okay, I'm gonna annotate using my iPad. Okay, so yes, I hope you guys can see the screen. Okay, so this is what your holiday homework is like. Okay, just a reminder that holiday homework, I expect you guys to have finished all of the SPQ questions. Okay, the source-based case study. All right, so before I move on to assertion, right, I think it's best if we go through the sources first so that you guys have a better understanding of what the sources are. Okay, if at any point you have any questions, you don't agree with how I'm interpreting the sources, you have more questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask. Okay, please don't be shy, please don't be embarrassed. All right, I think we're all here to learn. Okay, so okay, let's begin right by looking at the questions here. Okay, so study source A is the author and supporter or an opponent of the Nazi party. Explain your answer. Okay, so for this question, right, what you usually have to do when you receive the test paper, you have to decide for yourself, what is this question asking of me, right? Is this author a supporter or an opponent of the Nazi party? Is it just a basic inference question, or is it something more, right? And we probably think, we can probably guess it is something more, because they're asking about whether the author is a supporter or an opponent, right? So they're also asking for the author's attitude, right? The opinion. All right, so this is where we know this is probably, okay, a message source. So it's not just a basic inference source. It is also a question that asks for the author's attitude and opinion. Okay, so it's a message source. Yep, okay. Okay, so next, study sources B and C, how similar are the two sources? Okay, very easy comparison. Okay, I shouldn't have to remind you, this is a question that asks for one similarity plus one difference, right? Because how similar, not how are the sources similar. Okay, study source D, why was this poster created? Purpose source. Okay, yes, Shayan is here. Okay, now study source E, how far can you trust source E? Okay, how far can you trust? This is going to be a reliability question. Reliability question. Let me try and make the pen thickness a bit. A reliability question. All right. So next, study of sources, Nazi rule improves the lives of Germans. How far do the sources support this view? Okay, Nazi rule improves the lives of Germans. So this is your issue here, which you guys have to explain to. Okay, you guys have to explain to. Use the sources and your knowledge to explain your answer. 7-mark question. Okay, so let's go on to looking at the sources. All right. Oh, you guys have this down? Can I erase? Yes, no?
Miss
Okay.
Leon, I got a question.
Can? Yes, go on.
So for 1A, right? Do we have to write down if the author is a supporter or opponent at the end or the start?
Yes. Okay, so you need to remember that in every single history question, right, whether it's section A or section B, you need to answer the question. Okay, you need to answer the question directly and clearly. Okay, so in this case, it's the author or supporter and opponent. All right, please have it right at the start. Follow your APE format. You should go back and revise your message format if you're not too sure how to write it. Okay, so author, supporter, and opponent. You have to be like, you have to say something like, the author is a supporter or an opponent, right? And then you give me the inference. What makes you think the author is a supporter or an opponent? Okay, and I'm gonna go through the source with you guys, but it looks like this is a source that will also need you to bring in the provenance and the contextual knowledge. Okay. Okay. Any other questions about this source? I mean, these questions? Okay, if not, I'm going to erase. All right. And then we're going to go to the sources itself now. Okay. Yes, any questions? Okay. If not, let's go to the sources. Okay. All right. So I think I gave you guys time. Oops. I gave you guys time in class to look at the sources, to annotate your sources, right? So this should have been done already. All right. So we begin with the question at the top. Did Nazi rule improve the lives of Germans, right? So this is your issue. Oops. Okay, this is your issue. It's also your assertion question, right? It's also your assertion question. Then the background information gives you more details, okay, about the consolidation of power, okay, August 1934. Always highlight the dates, okay? The dates will give you an important sort of time marker when you look at the sources itself. All right, so it tells you all about the consolidation of power, Hitler becoming Führer, and then his policies as well, breaking the Treaty of Versailles and also implementing social policies, okay, that had a varied impact on the German people. Okay, so source A, a book by Erika Mann, okay, titled School for Barbarians, Education Under the Nazis, published in 1938. Okay, 1938. This is already after Hitler has become Führer. His policies are in effect. Okay, Mann had immigrated from Germany to the United States in 1937. So immediately, when we just look at the provenance by itself, school for barbarians, right? That's very interesting. What does it seem to imply, right? Who are these barbarians she's referring to? Is it the Nazis? Is it the students? Oh God. All right, is it the Nazis? Is it the students? Or is it just the citizens, right? Just the ordinary Germans? Okay, and you know, Mann had emigrated from Germany to the United States in 1937. She had left, right? Emigrated, she migrated, she left. So already, just from the provenance alone, you can already sort of tell what would be her attitude, right? What would be the author's attitude towards the Nazis? All right, so now we go to the source itself. Through the Nazi street walks the Nazi child. There's nothing to disturb him, nothing to attract his attention or criticism, blah, blah, blah. The child won't be surprised at the huge headlines. Jewish gangsters rule America. The communist terror in Spain, supported by the Pope. 150 more priests are unmasked as sexual criminals. That's how it is in the world. What luck we're in Germany to have a Führer. He'll tell off the whole bunch. Czechs, Jews, Americans, communists, and priests. Okay, can I ask, all right, since Xun Cheng, you were the last one to enter this Zoom, can I ask Xun Cheng, what's your inference from this source? What is this source actually trying to say about the issue question? Did Nazi rule improve the lives of Germans according to this source or no? Xun Cheng, can you unmute yourself and talk to me? Xun Cheng, are you there? You disappear. Oh my God, you guys need to stop doing that. All right, it's very irritating for the teachers. Okay, anyone else wants to give it a go? All right, what do you think this source is saying? Is it saying that Nazi rule did improve? Just from the content, just from the content.
I think it's somewhat saying that it didn't improve the lives, but then also it's not saying that it like harmed anyone's life.
So you're saying that it did improve their lives, or
I'm saying that like the source is saying that like the Nazis basically told lies to the people, and
Interesting. Okay.
so I think it's saying that the lives are not improving.
The lies are not improving because he told them lies, is it? Okay,
Yep.
but why do you think the things that they're saying here, Jewish gangsters rule America, the communist terror in Spain supported by the Pope, why do you think these are lies?
Because these are like the Jewish and the communists are everything that the Nazis are against. And
Okay,
so like by reporting all these bad headlines about all the things that Nazis don't support in foreign countries, then the
okay.
German people would think, oh, how lucky we are to like not have this kind of stuff in Germany because Hitler is such a great ruler.
Okay, I want you to focus on the last part of what you said. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm so bad at this Apple Pencil thing. Okay, I want you to focus on what the last part of what you said, right? That what is the point of all of these Nazi newspapers, right? And the child thinking, what luck we're in to have a furor. Just according to the source itself, if you ignore your contextual knowledge, if you ignore what you know about the German the Nazis being not being enemies, ideological enemies of the communists, right? What is the source saying about life in Germany? Has it improved or has it not improved in comparison to all of these messages?
Improved.
Improved, right? So this is where this would be helpful for your assertion question. Okay, okay, for you to tell me that actually just according to the source itself, right? According to this source itself, this would be a source, okay, and this is where we do our categorization, right? Nazi rule improves the lives of people. Yes, Benny, you are right. If you look at it holistically, this source is actually mocking, right? It's actually satirizing these lies, right? He's actually this author, Erica Mann, she's actually satirizing, she's actually mocking, right? She's making fun of these lies, right? That the Germans, the Nazis have perpetuated, right? But if you look at what this source is saying itself, right? In comparison to all of these things happening outside the world, Jewish gangsters, okay, the Jewish gangsters, the communists, the priests, unmasked as sexual criminals, all of these things, it is trying to say that what luck we're in to have a furor. Okay, what luck we're in. He'll tell off the whole bunch. He's trying to say, right, that lives have improved. Okay, I'm just going to draw a smiley face here because Nazi rule is so much better in comparison, right? Has brought, oh God, peace and stability. Okay, has brought peace plus stability. Okay, please excuse the horrible handwriting, but I'm still not used to using this Apple Pencil thing. Okay, so, oh, I just realized my words are not turning up. Okay, it does take some time. Okay, so basically what I wrote there is because Nazi rule has brought about peace and stability. Yeah, okay. Ken, so do we have any other questions about this source? All right, on the other hand, right, Benny, you're also right. If you want to use this as a source to show that it has not really improved because these are lies, you can also do that. Okay, you can also do that. So there are sources which can do both. That's why I put a tick and a cross beside it. Okay, there are sources that can support and at the same time contradict, all right, the issue question. Did Nazi rule actually improve the lives of Germans? Okay, so you can use it as a support. You can also use it as a contradict source. All right, but at the end of the day, when you start planning how to do your assertion question, you need to remember that you need to have both sides of the argument, right? To support and to contradict. Okay, and that's why we do this at the start so that you know which sources to pick as well. Okay. Any questions? Is anyone still confused about this source? All right, if not, let me erase this part. Okay, and then let's go to source B. Okay, so source B, an excerpt from a book by Richard Evans titled Third Reich in Power. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Richard Evans is basically, and I think you guys will know, actually this provenance should have included the fact that he's a historian, right? He is a historian. Okay, published in 2005. So that's way after the entire Germany, after the entire World War II is over already. Okay, so some teachers attempted to provide a balanced view, but they were often reported by the children to the authorities. Okay, we're going to be using this source later for our assertion practice, right? If you look at your notes, this is a source that we're going to be using to try out and see what kind of answers do students usually give, and how do we try to improve on these answers. Okay, so source B, some teachers attempted to provide a balanced view, but they were often reported by their children to the authorities, right? So this teacher is talking about the Jewish soldiers in World War II. World War I. Okay, and then one of the boys was a member of the Hitler Youth. Okay, shouted out they had died because they were weak. The Jews don't have a fatherland. Okay, so some teachers attempted to provide a balanced view, but they were often reported by the children to the authorities. Okay, so I think your inference should be quite clear, right? For this one, it is it's very firmly, right, very obviously, right, that it contradicts the assertion, the issue question. Okay, did Nazi rule improve the lives of Germans? No, it did not. Okay, because this is the quite negative state of the education system, right, where teachers can get reported, can get censored, okay, by the children. All right, so I have any questions about this source? Okay, if not, let's move to source C. Hedwig Ertl, a former member of the German Girls League, okay, recalling her experience schooling in Nazi Germany. German Girls League. Okay, so we know that that is the girls version, okay, of the Hitler Youth. Okay, we know that this is the girls' version of the Hitler Youth. All right, recalling her experience schooling in Nazi Germany, we had a history teacher who was a very committed Nazi, and we had 4 Jewish pupils, and they had to stand up during the class. They weren't allowed to sit down. And one after another, they disappeared until none were left, but nobody thought much about it. We were told that the Jews are a lower kind of human being, and that the Polish are inferior, and anyone who wasn't Aryan was worthless. Okay, so this source, okay, is very clearly a source that would contradict the issue question, right? Because for people like the Poles, people like the Jews, and anyone who's non-Aryan, right? Anyone who's non-Aryan, okay, these people's lives would definitely have suffered. Okay. All right, so we have source A, which from this page alone, we have source A, which supports and also contradicts, right? If you look at the source in totality, but the content of the source itself is trying to say that Nazis have brought about peace and stability, right? But if you look at it, the entire source, you look at the tone of the source, the provenance as well, it's quite obvious to say that actually this source is actually trying to contradict, okay, the Nazis' rule. Okay, and then you have 2 other sources which definitely contradict the idea that the Germans' lives were improved. Okay. So any questions about the sources here before I clear everything? Okay, please don't send me messages now. I won't be able to multitask with too many devices. Okay. All right, so if not, I'm going to clear this. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the next 2 pages. Okay. All right, source D is also another interesting source, a poster published by the Office of Racial Policy of the Nazi Party. Racial Policy of the Nazi Party. You know from contextual knowledge, this is the one. This is the office which is in charge of eliminating all right, those who did not fit these Aryan ideal. Okay, so you know that the Office of Racial Policy of the Nazi Party, they're in charge of eliminating those who did not fit the Aryan ideal. Okay, and then we look at the source itself. Okay, and then you see this man who looks like he could have some kind of disability. We are not too sure what kind of disability it is. All right, but he needs help, right? He's being supported by another guy who is in some kind of a uniform, right? We don't know whether he is an officer of this office, or is he a doctor, or is it someone else? Okay. Then we go on to the text in the source. 60,000 Reichsmarks. Okay, so $60,000 basically is what this person suffering from hereditary illness. Okay, so yes, our suspicion is confirmed. It's some kind of illness that he has, right? Some kind of disability will cost the community in his lifetime. That is your money too. Okay. So actually, what is this source saying? Can I call on Luna? Right? What do you think this source is actually trying to say about improving the people's lives, or anything at all?
Because like they spend money for themselves, right? For the Germans, they could like kill the disabled people. Like they kill the disabled people to like earn money for themselves. So like this
is it for themselves? Sorry. Who is themselves?
The Germans.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Great. So basically, what they're saying, you're right, is that this person, if he is not eliminated, he will cost the entire community 60,000 Reichsmarks. He will cost this amount of money, right? This amount of resources, this amount of funds, right? That could have been channeled for something else in the community, right? And by saying that is your money too, he's trying to convince you that what the Nazis' policies of eliminating those who do not fit the Aryan ideal, right, would have improved the lives of the people. Because now we save the community money. Isn't that great? Okay, so for this source, it could be both. Okay, we have another interesting source. It could be both a source that contradicts as well as a source that agrees with the statement, right? When I say it agrees with the statement, it's because it's trying to say that under the Nazis, they saved the people a lot of money, right? They channel the resources into something else that would more positively benefit the community by killing off all of these people. Okay, but at the same time, you do know the more obvious guess to make here is that this source does not support the statement, right? Because it definitely did not improve the lives of those people who are affected, those people with hereditary illnesses and disability. Okay. Can? All right. We have a lot of latecomers coming in. Okay, so this is another interesting source, right? It's both a source that agrees as well as a source that contradicts the assertion question. Okay, and later when we do our assertion, right, this is where you have to pick your sources very carefully, right? Because even though you might think that overall this source does not benefit the people, you need to pick your sources carefully to give a balanced view. You need to give both sides of the argument. Okay, so now let's go to source E. Okay, before that, any questions about source D? Anything you don't understand, you disagree, you want more clarification on? Okay, if not, let's go to source E. A poster issued by the British anti-Nazi council. Already we kind of know what the thoughts and feelings of this particular source would be. British anti-Nazi council in response to the planned Olympic Games to be held in Germany in 1936. Okay, just a bit of a segue into the Olympic Games. Yes, there were the Olympic Games that were actually hosted by the Nazis. Those who came in early into the Zoom, you would have seen me share an article about Jesse Owens and the Olympic Games. So Jesse Owens was basically a long jumper from America. Okay, a black Asian, not Asian, American, African American, okay, long jumper from America. Okay, and he won the gold. If I'm not wrong, okay, he won some medal for the athletics. Okay, for the track and field. Okay, so and this was in defiance lah. So like it ran counter, right, to the ideas that of the Aryan race having the most superiority. Okay, so that's just an interesting tidbit. All right, so anyway, back to the source. A poster issued by the British Anti-Nazi Council in response to the planned Olympic Games to be held in Germany in 1936. So we obviously know, right, just from the provenance alone, we know that this source is going to be quite critical of the Nazis. Okay, so we look at the source. Olympic Games in Berlin, right? Then you have these three random Nazis prancing about. Okay, we know they're Nazis because we can see their the armbands, right, with the Nazi symbol on it. So we probably know that these are probably Nazi officials. Okay, and then they're prancing about doing the Hitler salute. Okay, doing the Hitler salute. And very interesting as well, we can see that they're actually trampling on another figure. Okay, I'm not sure how many of you guys have noticed this. All right, they're trampling on another figure who looks like dead. Okay, and the figure is labeled the Olympic spirit. Okay, the Olympic spirit. Olympic spirit. So if you think about what the point of the Olympics is all about, right? It's about I don't know, unity. It's about coming together as one world, regardless of your nationality, your race, and all of that. Okay, so it's quite interesting so far. You have Nazi officials that are trampling on all of these ideals. Then we go to the top right hand, the right hand side of the picture, where you have these people put in behind bars, right? Behind bars. So what do these bars, right, represent? Any questions, by the way? Okay, behind bars. So what do these bars represent? Okay, so if you guys make the guess that it's about a concentration camp, it's about a ghetto, yeah, sure, I would accept these explanations, right? And we see here from left to right, Catholics, Jew, and trade unionists. Okay, so I think for this source, it should be quite clear that this is a source that does not support the statement at all, right? It does not support the statement at all. Okay, because you have these people in particular, the Catholics, the Jews, and the trade unionists who have been locked away, right? They have been locked away. So for these people, I don't think you can say that their lives improved under Nazi rule. And I don't think there's anything else in this particular source that actually shows that the Nazis did improve anyone's lives. Okay. Any questions about these two sources so far? Okay, can I clear my annotations here? Whoever it is, could you mute yourself, please? Oh, it's Lina. And Yang. Okay. Can, then I'm gonna clear my annotations here. All right. And I'm gonna stop share and we're gonna go back to assertion. Yay. Okay. Okay, Okay, let me toggle back to the assertion notes. Assertion. Okay. All right, so please flip back to the notes, right? The assertion practice here, the single piece of paper that I gave you guys. All right, we're going to discuss how do you do the assertion question now? How do you respond to an assertion question now? Okay, so first off, I had some people asking me about how the assertion question is being marked. All right, so assertion question is worth 8 marks. It's usually worth 8 marks in your history paper. Okay, but just to note, for your EYE, we will not have this part. Okay, the 1 to 2 marks of weighing. We will not ask you guys to do this, so there's no need to bother doing reliability for anything, right? Even if you do it, I'm not going to mark it, and it's just going to be a waste of your time, okay? Because we have not taught you that, and we do not want to test it now, okay? So right now, this is what we want to focus on: the source use and extension and explanation, okay? And as I told you guys last time, how you need to have a balanced viewpoint, right? You need to have a balanced viewpoint, balanced view, which means what you should be aiming for is to do APEE for 2 agree, okay, 2 agree/support sources plus 2 disagree sources. And what do I mean by agree and disagree? This is in reference to the issue question, right? The issue question, Nazi rule improved the lives of Germans. So you need to find 2 sources that agree and 2 sources that disagree. Okay? All right. And the reason being, if you only do, let's say you only do one side, so you give me 2 agree and that's all. 2 agree or 3 agree for that matter, right? I think the most you can get is probably 3 or 4 marks, right? 3 or 4 marks. If you have 2 agree and 1 disagree, that will be 5 marks. Okay, 2 agree, 1 disagree, 5 marks. All right, and then for the full 6 to 7 marks, you need to have 2 agree and 2 disagree. Okay. All right. Any questions about the mark scheme before I go on?
Yeah. So does that mean we don't have to use all the sources?
Yeah, you don't have to use all the sources. Yeah, but yeah, you don't have to use all the sources, and I don't expect to see everyone doing the full APE for every single source, because that would just be a waste of time. Just focus on getting the APEE for the sources that you do write about accurate. Okay. Any other questions? Xiaohui, you had a lot of questions about the mark scheme the last time. Okay,
Yeah.
I know. Oh yes, questions.
Yeah, but it's okay now.
It's okay. Okay. All right. If you say it's okay, I'm okay too.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
no. Well,
Okay. Cool.
no, wait, how about 1-1?
1 plus 1, is it? 1 plus 1, if I'm not wrong, it would be 4 or 5 marks. Yeah.
Same
4 or
as
5
2
marks.
agree, 1 agree.
2 agree and
1 disagree.
2 agree and 1 disagree would give you 7 at least. But the thing is, we asked you to write 2 agree and 2 disagree. Is what if, just like your reliability, what if out of your 2 agree and 1 disagree, let's say your disagree source is the one that is not complete, it's incomplete explanation, or you did not do it well, right? At least you still have the 1 disagree to back your marks up. Okay, Ken? So please push yourself to write 2 agree and 2 disagree. Give me a moment. I can read out what the LOMs from the specimen paper, the O-level specimen paper say. Okay, award 5 marks for 1 agree and 1 disagree, supported by valid source use. Okay, 5 marks for 1 plus 1. Additional mark for each subsequent valid source use, up to a maximum of 7 marks. So whatever you do, you need to have at least 3 paragraphs, right? But 3 plus 1 is dangerous, because 2 plus 1 is dangerous, because if one of them is wrong, you fall straight back down to 4 marks. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so anyway, if you guys are not following at all, you don't know what I'm talking about with marks, just remember to agree and to disagree. And if you're wondering, oh, I can skip out on these 7 to 8 marks, right? No, please do not, right? Please try all questions, okay? Please try all questions, okay? We'll do more time practice in class, okay? I think making you guys annotate the sources within 7 minutes would be a good, would have been a good start, all right? But now the next challenge is to finish one question within 7 minutes. Okay. All right, so let's go on. So key to doing well for this question is to have balance and both sides in your answer. Okay, so steps to take when you first get your paper is basically what we did just now. So we read through the questions, we categorize them in order of what the question demands, right? And then after that, we moved on to the sources itself. While we annotated the sources, we also started sorting them, okay, into the issue question, okay, by the issue. Okay, so far this is what we have. Again, I'm going to make the table so it's easier for us. All right. Okay, so this is our support, our agree sources. Okay, and this is our disagree sources. So for our agree sources, we have source A and source D, right? Source A, and we have source D. Okay, disagree sources, we also have source A and we also have source D. Source A, source B, source C, source D, and source E. Okay, and this is why, okay, wait, let me check the chat. Miss Leong, does this mean we can just use example source D for one agree and disagree? Example source D. For this one, okay, so what you're trying to say is that we can just use one source and then make it as a and use it for both agree and disagree. Please don't do that. Okay, yeah, please don't do that, because like I was reading out to you guys just now, right, the what the specimen paper says, for each subsequent valid source use. So we want to see you guys choose a variety of sources. Okay, but in answer to your question, right, this means that these two sources would come in handy when you think about the 1 to 2 marks of weighing based on reliability. Okay, so I'll teach you guys to do the reliability later, right? But basically, if you were to choose these two sources, because these are the two sources we only have, right, for the agree side, so you have to choose source A and source D. Okay, but when you do the full assertion practice, when you do the full assertion response, right, for the reliability, that's when you can test the reliability of source A or source D. Okay, to say that despite it agreeing with the question, the issue question, it is unreliable because it has a purpose, an agenda, or whatever. Okay, is you fine? Okay, great. All right. So this probably means now, right, because you have source A and source D as your agree sources, and we're going to choose source B as part of our practice. For your own practice, you guys have to examine source A, source D as agree sources, and then you can choose source C, okay, or source E as your remaining disagree source. All right, this one we're going to do together. Okay. Okay, I'm just imagining those people who are going to view this recording. Okay, so source B, we're doing together with now. All right. So means that when you guys do your assertion question by yourself, you need to examine source A, source D, and source C or E. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Answering technique for assertion question, basically APEE, right? Actually, the assertion question is, okay, I think it's easy. Honestly, I think it's easy because it's basically just your inference, right? Elevated, okay? you have your A, right? Does the source agree with the statement? So basically answer the question. Let's say we go with source B, right? Source B does not agree with this statement, right? Because what's your inference? Okay, so your A is always your inference. P, evidence, explanation, right? So how does the evidence support the stand, right? Which part of the evidence actually, what does the evidence say that shows that this source does not agree with the statement? Okay, and then the extension, right? So what if you have this? Extension is basically just explain, keep explaining, keep explaining. Okay, so yeah, all right, so avoid lifting from the source, basic, avoid paraphrasing as well, right? Lifting, paraphrasing, these are the two things we never ever want to see, right? Regardless of whatever kind of question you're doing, whether it's a inference, whether it's a basic inference message, whether it's a purpose, whether it's a reliability source, reliability question, right? We never want to see you guys lifting. We never want to see you guys paraphrasing. Okay, repeated arguments are there. You cannot have the same argument for two sources, right? You cannot have the same argument for two sources because no two sources are going to be the same. All right, you cannot tell me source A disagrees with the statement because source A tells me that the education system under the Nazis is terrible. Then you repeat that for source B or source C, right? You cannot repeat your arguments. All right, for those who just entered, you guys missed a whole chunk of the lesson. So I really recommend you to watch the entire recording from the start, right, where I go through all the sources individually. Okay, so you cannot have repeated arguments, huh? All right. Okay, and not answering to the focus of the question. Okay, we will look at an example later. Okay, so now for our practice, we're gonna talk about some answers that would be possible for you guys to give. Okay, so we're gonna be using the EYE paper, right? We're gonna be using source B in particular, right? And just a reminder, source B is a disagree source. Okay, disagree source. So we're gonna prove how source B disagrees with the issue question. Okay, so Nazi rule improve the lives of people. How far do the sources support this view? All right, so just to recap from source B, our inference from source B, Yuan Ru, since you were the latest to enter, can I ask, what's your inference from source B?
Inference?
Yeah. Don't bother looking at the attempt here. Okay, don't look at the attempt here. Just look at source B alone and tell me what your inference is.
That if anyone who has a balanced view between like the Jews and the Germans is like counted as a crime, as Jews were seen as weak.
Okay, but you are listing from the source when you say balanced view and you tell me the Jews are weak. Those are words that are in the source, right? Inference question. You're supposed to make a guess, right? It's supposed to make a guess. So what can you guess about Nazi Germany just based off from source B?
They hate the idea of Jews being the same level as them.
Okay,
same.
Nazi Germany's. Okay, under Nazi Germany, under the Nazis, the Germans saw the Jews as inferior to them, put very simply. Okay, so with this inference in mind, right, it definitely, thank you very much, Yuan Ru. Okay, so with this inference in mind, definitely we can also say that did not improve, right? So this would be a disagree with statement. They did not improve lives of Germans. All right. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at how some of you might actually respond to the assertion question. Just keep reminding yourself in your assertion question, explain, explain, explain. When you think you're done explaining, you're not done. Okay, just continue explaining what is the outcome. Okay, so let's look here. Source B does not agree with the statement, as some teachers were often reported by the children to the authorities. What's wrong with this answer? Can I get Cytasia, our last person to enter this Zoom? Cytasia, can you tell me what's wrong with this answer? Attempt 1.
I think it's like describing the source.
Yes, right. It's just paraphrasing from the source. Okay. Did I write anything? Yes, lifting and just describing the source. Okay, so this answer is just lifting and just describing the source, right? So what if some teachers were often reported by the children to the authorities? Where is your inference? Okay, there's no inference. All right. Let me think. Who's the next person I want to call on? Who were the last people to enter? Xin Chong, you disappeared very conveniently just now, right? So source B does not agree with the statement, as some teachers often got into trouble with the authorities. What's the what is wrong with this student's response?
Paraphrase.
Paraphrase. Yes, some teachers often got into trouble with the authorities, right? But they were often reported by children to the authorities, right? So yeah, this is a paraphrase, right? It's not an inference. Okay. All right, attempt 3, source B does not agree with the statement as it talks about the state of the education system in Germany. I think this is quite interesting, right? What's wrong with this answer? Can I get, who were the last people to enter? Daryl. Daryl, can you tell me for this response, right, attempt 3, what's wrong with this particular answer? It talks about the state of the education system in Germany. Doesn't it make a guess? Daryl.
Rachel, you calling me?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, so what's wrong with this answer? It talks about the state of the education system in Germany. Doesn't it seem to answer the assertion question? It does not agree because it talks about the state of the education system in Germany.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with this answer.
But yeah, I don't think got anything wrong.
Okay, anyone else wants to try? Right, because I can spot something, a very major error here. Right, but I also understand why Daryl would think this is not, there's nothing wrong with it, right? It seems to make an inference. The source is about the education system. Yes, yes.
Because he never say it's bad.
Yes. Okay, so actually when I got this worksheet, right, Mr. Chi got this worksheet, at first I was also like, right, it seems to be making an inference, right? But okay, let me type out a sample response, right? How would I improve on this answer? Negative, right? The negative, the poor, right, state of the education system in Germany. Now this would be answering the question, right? Just by telling me, so what is the state of the education system? Telling me very specifically, right? Now this would be an inference. Okay, so if you didn't have this, right? If you didn't have this, and it's just this first part here, as it talks about the state of the education system, it's quite vague, right? So what about the state of the education system? And it doesn't answer the question, right? So is the state of education good? Is it bad? Is it normal or what? Okay, so Daryl, thank you very much. I'm glad you identified the mistake here. Right, you need to tell me very specifically what's wrong with or what is it that's about the state of the education system? Okay. So moving on, right? So this is a possible inference. I'm saying this is a possible inference. This is let me highlight this in green. This is a possible, plausible inference, right? But again, you don't just stop here, right? You still have your P, you still have your E, and your E. Okay, so any questions about this part here? All right, if not, can we do this together, right? Can I give you guys 1 minute, okay, to read through this sample answer? This will be something you can model your answer after in terms of the APEE. Okay, so can you guys mark out the following? A, which shows that you're answering the question. P, the evidence provided from the source. E, the explanation of the evidence. And E, the extension made, right? The further explanation of the outcome, right? The implications. Okay, for life in Nazi Germany. Okay, now we're being specific here for life in Nazi Germany. Okay, so can we do this now? All right. I'll give you guys 1 minute, then I'll just call on random people. Okay, I don't know whether that was actually 1 minute, but I think that was long enough. Okay, let me call on people I've been calling on today. Let's see. Latisha, you there? Okay, could you mark out for us which parts are the APEE?
The A is the educators live under censorship.
Right, so that's the inference. Good. Okay. The P?
Some teachers attempted to provide a balanced view, but they are often reported by the children to the authorities.
Yes, good. Okay, then the E, the explanation of the evidence.
Did not improve under the Nazi rule as teachers were often being closely watched for what they say.
Yes, good. Right, so that's the direct explanation of the evidence. Okay, and then the last E, the extension.
Is the last sentence.
Yes, good. So I think this one is quite concisely put, right? Thank you very much, Latisha. Right, so source A does not support the statement as the educators live under censorship. So this is a possible inference you can make, right? So if you tell me as there was a poor state of the education system in Germany, that's fine too. or that under the Nazis, the Germans saw the Jews as inferior to them, which was Green Rule's inference. That's fine also, but just make sure that you answer back to Nazi rule did not improve the lives of Germans, right? Since this is a claim you're trying to make here, this is evident by, okay, the evidence should be quite dull to you guys right now. This means that German lives did not improve under Nazi rule, right? So you link it back to the question, as teachers were often closely watched for what they said, right? So that's the direct explanation of the evidence. So your extension, right? Your extension is to be about the outcomes, the implications for life in Nazi Germany. You're supposed to tell me, okay, so imagine if I didn't have this, right? Then the teacher will just write here, so what? Right? So what if the teachers are closely watched for what they said? Right? How does that have any impact on their lives? Okay, so you have to make it very clear to me, right, that as a result of this, such an environment of censorship, right, would make individuals lose their freedom of speech and their ability to express their own individual opinions. Therefore, right, people would suffer from, this environment of surveillance and censorship under Nazi rule. Okay, all right. So actually for assertion, right, you can see from this sample answer that we don't actually demand a lot, right? For assertion, what would be the biggest challenge would be you guys managing your time well, getting your inference right. Okay, don't overthink it. All right, don't overthink it. Just keep reminding yourself. Inference to guess, inference to guess. I have to guess something about the state of life, right, under Nazi rule from that particular source. And once you have that guess, just continue explaining, and when you think you're not done explaining, just keep explaining. Okay, so just ask yourself, right? So how does this have any impact on Nazi or on the life of Nazis, or I mean on the life of Germans under Nazi rules, right? Because this is what you need to link that to. It's like your FSEL. Okay, this is basically your EL, right? This is your EL, should be APEL, in my opinion. Okay. So any questions about this? All right, any questions about assertion, about the sources? Those who came late, right? Do you want to stay back and for me to go through the sources with you, or are you just going to watch the video? Okay, just type in the group chat if you want me to stay for longer. Okay, I can stay for half an hour more. All right, if you want me to go through the sources with you again, for those who came late. All right. If not, are there any other questions? Let me stop share. Any other questions?
Miss Leong, for like comparison in O level, do we have to write the high level paragraph?
Oh, you mean the comparison of purpose, is it?
Oh yeah, or tone.
That would give you the most marks. So yes, if the sources allow you to. Okay, yes, if the sources allow you to.
But then for now, you only have to write one difference and one similarity.
Based on content, yes, based on content. I want you guys to get your POC right.
Like to get the full mark lah.
Yes. Okay.
Also, you don't need the high level yet, or like eventually we need
not
it.
yet, but not yet. Right now, not yet for the EYE. But if you guys want to attempt it, you are confident enough, right, to compare the purpose or the tone. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just ignore me. Okay, but if you do want to compare the purpose or the tone, you can try. Okay, then I can mark it and give you some feedback on that. If not, just do one similarity and one difference based on your content. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Miss Leong, so sorry to interrupt.
No worries, you're not interrupting.
For the assertion, right, what if we run out of time? Would you recommend us to do one agree, one disagree, or two agree, one disagree?
If you run out of time, minimally one agree, one disagree, because you need to have both sides, right? You need to have a balanced view of both sides. So 2 + 1 or 1 + 1 is better than 2 to 0. Okay, so 1 disagree, 1 agree, or 2 agree, 1 disagree is better than just 2 disagree, let's say. Okay, because two disagree is just one side. All right, it's just one side of the argument. Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. When doing high level comparison, do we still need to write similarity less difference? I would say yes. Oh, there's this Edison's message, right? Yes, because what if your comparison is not very good, right? Your high level comparison, if you try to compare tone or purpose and it fails, and you only have that one paragraph, right? So you need a backup. Okay. That's why we teach you the comparison based on content first. Okay.
Okay, wait. Content will get us full marks already, right? Like for
Yes.
EYE.
Right now,
Yeah.
yes. Content will get you
Okay.
full marks. Edissa, you're asking if successful. Of course, if successful for a high level comparison, you get full marks even even with or without the comparison based on content. Okay, but at the end of the day, I don't know whether you guys are at the level where you can judge your own work during the exam conditions. Okay, whether it's a high level comparison or not. It's like SS, yeah, it's like SS law. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I just have one more thing to say, which is about the assertion question, right? I think some of you guys might be wondering, what is the point of the assertion question, right? Why do we ask, why is Cambridge asking you guys to write APEEE for like for at least 4 sources? What is the point of that? Okay, because if you think about it, right, your history exam is to prepare you to have the skills and the knowledge to go out in the world, right? And this particular question, the assertion question, is your historical skill, right? So for those of you who are planning to go to JC, you will also have this kind of question. And why is because when historians do history, right, as a history undergraduate at a university, right, this is what I did as well. You have to find a huge variety of sources by yourself, right? You have to find a huge variety of sources. And for every source that I find, I need to make an inference, right? I need to figure out, what is this source talking about, right? Is this source reliable or not? And then I have to answer my own question, right? I have to answer my own hypothesis, my own claim about that period in life. Okay, so that's why this is what the assertion question is preparing you for. Okay, for the ability to look at a whole variety of sources, not just 1, 2 sources, right? Just a whole variety of sources, and then to come up with your own inferences to answer a particular question. In this case, it's not the rule improve the lives of people. Yes, no. Okay. All right. Any other questions? If not, okay, you guys can leave the Zoom. Happy holidays. All right, please do your homework. Those of you who have any questions or you want me to go through the sources again, if you were late, you can just stay behind. All right. Okay. Let me just
Wait, the essays aren't homework, right?
Huh?
The
What?
essays aren't homework, right?
Yeah, essays. I won't give you. Essays are not homework. Okay, I will probably ask you guys to do it as group work. When we come back lah. When we come back to term 4 week 1. Okay. All right. If not, you guys can leave this Zoom. Thank you very much for spending Teacher's Day with me.
Yeah. I'm still
Wait,
confused
wait,
about.
wait. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, my parrot is annoying me. Yes, Kai Ting, you were saying.
I'm still confused about the reliability part when you cancelled it and said we don't need to do it.
Oh, that part. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, assertion notes. Okay, what I mean is that we have not taught you this part yet, right? The weighing of the sources for your assertion question. Okay, we've not taught you how to do it yet. Okay, we want to do it one at a time. Yeah, so please just have your to agree to disagree paragraphs first. Okay, let's just have that down first before we move on to reliability.
Thank you, Ms. Young.
Oh, no worries. But of course, your question 1D, how far can you trust source E about how the Germans were treated? That is still mandatory, okay? You still have to do that question. Okay, thanks, Kai Ting, for the question. Any other questions? Okay, if not, are the people here just waiting for me to go through the sources?